The Tibetan word for blessings means transforming into magnificent potential. And that's what we're doing. Sounds good. Magnificent potential. But that is what we're doing. We're not taking on a set of beliefs. We're not taking on a religion, I hope. We're taking on a practice. We're taking on a set of tools to allow us to develop this magnificent potential within ourselves. I'm just going to read here. Blessing refers to the development of virtuous qualities that you did not previously have and the improvement of those good qualities that you have already developed. It also means discernment of defilement of the mind that obstructs a generation of wholesome qualities. So that last sentence, or part of the sentence, it means discernment of defilements of the mind that obstruct the generation of wholesome qualities. So to know when you're feeding your mind, to know when you're grabbing onto things that aren't moving you towards your wholesome potential. To know when we are caught in those little spirals that bring us down. And really, is to know them. That's the important word, is to know this is happening now. So we develop that which in ourselves that we know leads to wholesome qualities, and wholesome qualities are those qualities that open us up to compassion, awareness, and wisdom. So to the best of our ability, each day we develop those qualities. So one of the ideas is the idea of the Bodhisattva. And the Bodhisattva is a human being who is developing themselves for the benefit of all sentient beings. And this understanding is really important. It helps us get ourselves outside of ourselves, first of all. It helps let go of ego clinging, the self-referencing all the time, to know that actually what we're doing is not just for ourselves, but it's doing it for all beings. So if you want to do something worthwhile, not just for yourself, but for those you've loved, for those you love, and for those you've loved, and for the planet in general. If you want to do something worthwhile, there's lots of things to do. But in some ways, the most important thing is the purification of your own mind stream. There's this concept of the angry liberal. And you know, the person that is always talking about liberal causes, and there's nothing wrong with liberal causes, but they're angry. They're always angry about something. And when we're in a state of anger, we're not in a wholesome state. And how much can we really help the world when we're coming from a state of anger? How clear can we see? So it's developed this positive compassion, loving intent to move our practice forward, to develop our inner stream of realization. So when we walk out the door, we can offer that. So it may sound like big ideals, and in a way it is, but in a way it's not. Make the world a better place today. Keep it simple. So this magnificent potential that we are aspiring towards is really who we are. It's our essential nature. Sometimes it's called primordial wisdom in the Buddhist tradition. Sometimes it's called Buddha nature. And sometimes it's called emptiness and luminosity, the nature of mind. We give it these words, but it's the idea or the view that there is this basic ground in which everything springs from. All experience, all life forms spring from. And that all of us are an expression of this one thing. And in our unenlightened view, we see ourselves, we see our experience, we see ourselves as separate. But really, everything that we experience is an expression of the nature of mind, is an expression of the ground, is the expression of this one thing. I hope you can at least intellectually understand that idea. In the Vajrayana, in the Mahamudra tradition, they talk about conduct, view, and meditation. In the Theravadan tradition, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Conduct, meditation, wisdom. I'm actually saying the same thing. So conduct is kind of what I've been referring to. Moving towards supporting the wholesome. And one of the ways that we really develop it and work with that is to understand the Bodhisattva vow, to understand that what we are doing is for the benefit of all beings. So we keep that intention in mind. View is this understanding or this idea of this primordial wisdom, this ground of being in which all experience appears and disappears. So whatever you experience, is an expression of this underlying primordial truth, this underlying primordial wisdom. The Hindus call it self and self, the big self and the small self. The other, or like another way it's expressed is if you think about the ocean. If the ocean was the nature of mind, then we are all waves in that ocean. The wave is not separate from the ocean. For a moment in time, conditions come together, they form, and then they return to the ocean. There is an aspect of your being that is this ocean. We get caught up in a very small view of self. And that's what we identify with. That's what causes us all our suffering. In the process of developing wholesome states and developing our meditation, we learn to find that quiet room of non-conceptuality where we're not listening to the projection from thought, and we rest in open, wakeful awareness. So the ideas that I'm just expressing, they give us, I think, a context or an overview. Meditation gives us a taste. And we acquire that taste. It's an acquired taste. We acquire that taste. And then we bring it into our daily life. In the language of Mahamudra, which is a higher teaching in the Vajrayana tradition, there's this idea, this concept of one taste. And it's an experience. And it's called the experience of one taste. And it's what I'm pointing to. If everything is an expression of the one thing, then everything tastes the same. It's the same taste. Up, down, left, right, inside, outside, good, bad, beautiful, horrific, pleasant, unpleasant. Ignorant, wise. It's all an expression of one thing. The insight is, or that level of seeing, that level of experience is called one taste, where you no longer differentiate between experiences. It's all the ocean. It's all ocean. In Zen, they have a poem, and a line in the poem is, "The great way is not difficult for she that has no preferences." All these teachings in these different traditions are all pointing to this. They're all pointing to this. So when we really know this, we can relax. We can relax and let our life flow or arise according to circumstances. The great way is not difficult for she who has no preferences. It's all one taste. It's all one taste. So conduct, view, and meditation. The view is one taste. And this is an experience you have access to. This is an experience you have access to. You just need to be wakeful, watchful, and very, very quiet. There's a quietness where we become dull. And there's a quietness where we become very, very wakeful, where we are very, very wakeful. We are very, very present. So the meditation that we do on the breath is developing that quality of mind that's calm, that's wakeful, and that's watching very, very carefully. And this view of one, this idea of one taste is really a good concept to contemplate, to think about. What does that mean? There is no separation. It's all one thing. And that's how the Bodhisattva vow dovetails into this, because we are lining up our actions. We are lining up our actions to be in harmony with this underlying truth, even if we don't see it, or even if we've only had a glimpse of it. We are conducting ourselves so we are in harmony with this truth. And we find that when we are living more in harmony with this truth, that we're a lot happier. We accept things that happen to us. We don't resist what's taking place. We're open to it. We can be, sometimes it's just being okay with it. Sometimes it's just being okay with it. And it doesn't mean that we don't have to have an action. It doesn't mean that we don't have to have a response. But if we can understand this tapestry called life, that it's all an expression of one thing, it can inform in a very profound way how we move through the day, through the world. It can inform in a very profound way how we deal with difficulties and problems. If we have an understanding of that idea of ground, and that everything is an expression of the one thing, then it just gives us, it can also just give us perspective. And once again, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything, that we don't feel anything, that we don't react at times, that we don't take action. All of that is fine. But when we can look at relative truth, when we could look at our lives, but we have an underlying connection with the absolute, because that's what we're talking about. The ocean is the absolute. The waves are the relative. And we are the relative. But this underlying view really changes our relationship with it. Really changes our relationship with it. Somebody that's been practicing Dharma for a while, they just don't tend to be quite as all over the place. They still can be all over the place. But we start to get, at first, that connection is connection with calm. And with the calm comes clarity. And with the calm and clarity, we start to intuit this ground. Because it's the truth. It's what we are. And the more we develop our calm and clarity, the more we have a fundamental connection with this. I'm going to throw another word in, with this non-duality. So we have this idea as a reference, but we still need to work, right? We're still if you just have the idea and, well, it's just all one, man, I'm going to do what it is I want to do, or it's all kind of non-dual, I understand that, I got that. Okay. What's going on in your mind? What's going on in your heart? Do you really see that? So we have this framework, we have this practice where we get glimpses of it. We know we're on the right path because we can continue to develop calm and clarity. What happens from calm, clarity, wisdom develops. The wisdom is this underlying connection with the sense of the non-dual, with the sense of the one taste. And remember, I said it during maybe the weekend, is so we have this framework, so we work with it. but you have to work with it. You have to do the work. You have to develop your spiritual intent. You got to do it. You can't just every once in a while you're feeling shitty, you decide to close your eyes and watch your nose. It doesn't work like that. But with that clarity of intent and that moving towards and the development of this practice, what happens is this underlying actuality, it meets us halfway. It meets us halfway. You don't have to do all the work yourself. It's like, oh my God, I'm never gonna have that experience. I'm not gonna get there. Not so. In a kind, loving, gentle way, we work with our intent. We work with our conduct. We develop, study, meditate on the view. We work, develop, study, work on our meditation. And this underlying primordial wisdom, primordial actuality, it meets us halfway. I think I also said it on the weekend, is there's a point where the practice, you open up enough that the practice starts to do you. You don't have to work so hard. Because we have enough of a connection. We have enough of a connection and we can live a little bit more with whatever life presents. That's what we're doing. Conduct, view, meditation.